Hi there, my name is Jon Hutman. I'm a motion picture production designer, and today we're going to talk about a movie that I actually did not design, but it's kind of timely because the sequel to this movie is about to come out. The movie I'm talking about is The Devil Wears Prada, which came out in 2006, directed by David Frankel and designed by Jess Gonchor. The movie stars Meryl Streep and Anne Hathaway. The settings are real. The character of Miranda Priestly is based on Anna Wintour, the editor of Vogue, and the filmmakers made a very conscious choice to keep the settings of the movie real. The movie takes place in a version of the Condé Nast offices. I actually shot in the Vanity Fair offices when I did Horse Whisperer several years before this. It's a pretty straightforward, not fancy, not particularly fashiony midtown office building in Manhattan. And what that allows the filmmakers to do is put the characters, the wardrobe, and the styling and the grooming of the actors in the foreground.
Miranda hired me. She knows what I look like.
Do you?
What I really want to talk about in this video is Miranda Priestly's office. I went back and I looked at the pictures of Anna Wintour's office, and you can see how specifically the filmmakers were inspired by the layout of the office. She works at a table, not a closed desk. Her space is really defined by this gallery wall, and there is a spectacular view of Midtown Manhattan out of the windows behind her. If you look at Anna Wintour's office, the sill of the windows in the real office is lower than the sill of the windows in the set. And sometimes we do that as a way of avoiding seeing the stage floor. This was certainly a set built in a soundstage. The other thing that they've done, they've given Miranda separate windows with wall space between them, as opposed to one big window, which is what Anna Wintour has. Now, there's a very practical reason for that. If you're shooting on a soundstage, you're shooting a photographic backdrop. And the more exposed that backdrop is, eventually you will notice that it's fake. And even though you're up, let's say, on the 20th floor, the idea of breaking up that view into separate windows was probably a very practical, creative choice.
No. That wasn't a question.
I think if you look at the gallery wall, the original in Anna Wintour's office versus the version in Devil Wears Prada, there's this very distinctive octagonal mirror in the center of the gallery wall. What's great about the Anna Wintour wall, it is literally floor to ceiling, wall to wall, and those images give you a sense of history. It's really important to feel that each of those images on the wall and also on the windowsill behind her create a tableau of less memories and more like feathers in her cap. Very distinctive and important. The next thing I look at is the window treatments. They've chosen to use these kind of mesh shades. Very clean and subtle and modern. But if you look at Anna Wintour's office, she's got these lovely Roman shades with a black trim and a little seam detail that slightly soften the windows. And there are several very subtle choices in Anna Wintour's office, which I think take the office in a slightly more feminine and slightly more French, and I would say slightly more sophisticated direction. Notice that Anna Wintour's office has an oriental carpet, a used, very faded, neutral with red accents, oriental rug. There is an area rug, but because it's a contemporary edge-bound piece of carpet as opposed to a rug, it doesn't have the kind of texture and fineness and weight. Her desk is not a glass desk like Meryl Streep has. And I looked it up. It's actually a prototype desk. It was designed by a designer named Alan Buchsbaum, who had designed Anna Wintour's townhouse, and he literally sold her the prototype of this desk. I don't know that that desk was ever produced, but it definitely feels like it references a Prouvé desk, which if you look up his tables and chairs, there's this very industrial architectural feeling. And what's interesting, this was in 1986. She still uses that desk desk today. It's black wood, and if you look at close-ups, it's a little bit worn. The open desk is a beautiful choice for a powerful woman executive because it's different. It's light and it's open. And the interesting thing about Anna Wintour, her desk chair and the two passenger chairs are these galvanized metal exterior French cafe chairs, which is an incredibly bold choice. I think the filmmakers were right to not copy that detail. To the average audience, you would say, like, why does she have like these cheap garden chairs? And especially knowing that the office choice dates from the 80s, the aesthetic in the 80s was very, I would say, hard. Industrial was in. What the filmmakers have chosen are these Italian leather desk chair, a little bit higher back, the two passenger chairs, which are these scooped Italian leather chairs. And then in the sitting area, there's a B&B Italia lounge chair, and then there's a little round conference table in the corner with two more chairs, so that you have all of these floating chairs on spindly legs, but it ends up feeling like kind of little insects or something dancing across the floor. And for me, there is something that is too similar about them. What Anna Wintour's office has is this French armchair and this French sofa. It's a little bit heavier, it's a little more solid. I'm missing some of the warmth and specificity and history of some of the antiques that Anna Wintour has in her office.
Are you wearing the
Chanel boots? Yeah, I am.
If you compare the original Anna Wintour office to Miranda's office to the current Anna Wintour office, all of them, I would say, are theoretically the office of the same person, even though Runway is the fictitious version of her. It's just interesting to see different iterations and different choices. Start with the windowsill behind Miranda Priestly. That's a higher windowsill, and the one antique piece they brought into the movie is this kind of black Art Deco end table that sits against that sill that runs all the way across below the windows. If you then go to Anna Wintour's real office, you'll notice that the windowsill is lower, and what's distinctive about that is what she uses instead of a credenza is actually two antique upholstered benches. A bench will typically be 18 inches high, so that's a much lower sill. Then we look at her at a midtown office, but the windowsill drops, and there's this dramatic picture of Anna Wintour against the New York skyline, low windowsill, tall windows, high ceiling height, with these dark mesh shades, all at the same level. Very important. She's still got the same desk and galvanized metal chairs from 1986. Instead of having her desk in the middle of the room, she has it backed up to a wall, but as her credenza, the cabinet behind her desk, she's got this beautiful Gustavian Swedish cabinet. And what's awkward about it, the cabinet is 3 feet tall and the desk is 30 inches tall. And when you see Anna Wintour sitting in front of this cabinet, it dwarfs her a little bit. It's a little bit impractical. You will notice that cabinet did not travel with her to future offices. The challenge when you use real antiques is they were made for somebody else. If you get it custom made, you get it made shorter, but that wouldn't be a real antique cabinet. That tells you what's important to her. She is also famous for her flower arrangements. They've really embraced this in The Devil Wears Prada, and they go so far as to make a joke. There's a table with flowers in the entryway. There's a table with flowers here. There's a table with flowers there. And those flowers are extremely present in Miranda's office. It's a great way to show style and taste and affluence, is what do arranged flowers look like on a desk.
Why is no one ready?
There are a couple of other signature spaces in the Runway offices which stand in contrast to Miranda's office. You see her conference room where there's a scene where they're putting the magazine together. There is no view outside. There are these two walls with picture rail shelves, and every page of the magazine, the layout of every page, the graphics are laid out there. So suddenly you have this very decorative, colorful texture where they're literally surrounded by their work. I think it's an important detail that allows the audience to understand the process and the world of the movie.
Which exposed the
That's all.
exploitation of
The crown jewel is the closet. And this is the one time where they violate the reality of a midtown 9-foot ceiling business office. You go into this space and it's this double, triple height, backlit, rows and rows and rows of couture fashion, shoes, hats, bags. This is like anybody who has an ambition to live in the world of fashion dreams and imagines that this exists. And the reality is probably much closer. There's another scene where they bring in racks of clothes. That's probably a lot closer to the reality. The fashion gets delivered, it comes in, it gets presented, and it gets rolled out. But the fantasy of the imaginary Vogue closet or runway closet, I think, is central to the storytelling in the movie. We also get to see Nigel's office, and he runs the art department. His workspace is this gigantic light table in the middle of the room, and behind him are all of these runway binders. It's a chance to get to see the pieces that go into making the product.
I hope you know that this is a very difficult job, for which you are totally wrong. And if you mess up, my head is on the chopping block.
Miranda's townhouse. I, as the audience, want nothing more than to see Miranda's townhouse, which, by the way, apparently just sold for like $26 million or something like that. It's a beautiful, beautiful limestone symmetrical townhouse. And all we get to see through Andy's eyes are this long front hallway with the frosted glass doors in front. We will see in a later scene that there is a little sitting room and kitchen behind that. And then we get to see this infinite staircase going up. She's got a view of Miranda's twin daughters, and then we get their point of view looking down, but we never really get off the stair landing. That's the filmmaker telling you the story through Andy's eyes and experience.
You're wearing a sweater that was selected for you by the people in this room.
Andy, on the other hand, lives in a classic Lower East Side tenement apartment. And if you go to the tenement museum, you can see it's an exact perfect layout. I'm sure they built this as a set, but what's lovely is the depth that you get, because it's obviously a very small, narrow apartment. It's like living room connected to kitchen. The entry to the apartment is a door on an angle, and then right next to that is the door into their bedroom. It's cramped, but the fact that there is this kind of signature interior glass window between the kitchen and the bedroom makes it a classic Lower East Side apartment. And this is like a super subtle, maybe to the point of being accidental detail. There is a scene where Nate is making Andy a grilled cheese sandwich. That is immediately after the scene where Andy is in Miranda's office and she holds up these two belts. Her bedroom is that kind of teal turquoise color of the belts. And I don't know whether it's an intentional tongue-in-cheek to show us that that color that's on the belt is already in Andy's bedroom, or are we just looking at the contrast between the white walls, the blank canvas of the runway offices, and this deeper, richer, warmer color in the world where Andy lives? And there's no reason why both things can't be true.
They're so different.
One of the things that I think they did a great job of is the trip to Paris. They've built this trip up literally since the beginning of the movie. I was surprised to find out that they only shot for 2 days in Paris, exteriors only, and get this, Meryl Streep did not go to Paris. If you look at the movie, you will see these very clever cuts. The Mercedes driving down the Champs-Élysées, you cut inside the car to Anne Hathaway and Meryl Streep, and obviously they had to have shot that to match in New York. Now, here's the interesting thing. I consider myself a little bit of a Frenchie. My daughter was actually born in Paris when I was making a movie in Paris. Like, I know Paris, I know this world. And I have to say, I was like, what hotel are they at? It turns out that they shot those interiors in the St. Regis Hotel in New York, which is a Francophiles-like paradise. But Meryl Streep's hotel suite was the St. Regis in New York, and that Paris Fashion Week luncheon, that exterior is the Fashion Museum in Paris. But the interior scene was shot in the ballroom at the St. Regis Hotel in New York. Very, very, very clever filmmaking, design choices, editing. I completely believed that I was in Paris.
Do I smell Frisians?
What? No.
If you like this video, please let me know in the comments. We're all super looking forward to the release of the new film. And by the way, don't forget to like and subscribe.